already touched 100. Nah, a million is the main goal. Bitches chasing me, but I keep chasing at the change though. Focused on the money, hit the stew in between. You can get it too, and all you gotta do is believe. I'm the man now in Cali, I'm the shit in Milwaukee. Made a stop in Ohio on my way to Kentucky.
Yo, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to my channel, I usually do a lot of reaction videos, a lot of gaming uploads, and vlogs. MAZI 2K back with another video, coachy. Hey, 10 rappers caught lacking? Let's get it. We ain't even gonna play. Let's get it. Let's get right into it.
With the recent attempted hit on Chicago's Grim Reaper, Lil Reese, I thought we'd take a look back at other rappers that have been blessed by that iron and still alive to talk about it. These are 10 rappers that have survived shots from ops.
He funny. Let's get it. I didn't even know YG got...
In the summer of 2015, YG was in LA recording his album Still Brazy when a random group of men pulled up in a black SUV, interrupting the session. At first, they approached YG and his team calmly, claiming they were just looking for people to kick it and party with. But YG quickly turned them down since no one there knew them or seen them before. Then less than an hour later, those same men tried to rush in the studio, forcing their way through his crew. YG realized that they were all strapped and ran to the top patio. This is when the rest of the ops outside got a clear view of YG and let off shots, hitting him once in the hip. When he dropped, everyone fled the scene. Luckily for him, a few of his homies got him in their car and rushed him to the ER. It turns out that the shot went in, out, then back in, leaving 3 holes in his waist. Fortunately, no arteries or bones were hit. YG checked himself out that night and returned to the studio the very next day.
What? Wow.
In 2018, just a month after opening up for Jay-Z and Beyonce, Yella Beezy was hit up in his G-Wagon during a drive-by in Texas. It was 3:30 in the morning when Yella was leaving a club after a performance when he got on the tollway on his way home alone. At one point, he slowed down to check his phone, and that's when an unidentified car pulled up beside him and let off over 20 shots, hitting him about 4 times. Yella said that he was completely conscious while it was happening and was reaching for his own strap but couldn't get a hold of it after it fell off his lap onto the floor. He was able to drive out the way but ended up spinning out and crashing. That's when he called his mother and his baby moms before finally calling the police for help. Yella ended up with a pierced lung, broken ribs, broken elbow, and a hole in his leg. Although 2 fragments remain inside of him, he was able to make a full recovery. There was speculation on what caused the incident involving a beef with a local comedian, but nothing was ever confirmed and remained unsolved.
Damn.
In June of 2019, Slim 400 was hit up 9 times on his own block in Compton. At the time, he went to visit his family before a show with a couple of his fellow Pyru members.
Damn.
As soon as he pulled up to his home block, he was ambushed by multiple ops, getting hit 9 times up close. With no one returning fire, he ended up crawling his way to his mother's house where he waited for help. After the smoke cleared and the ops fled the scene, Slim was the only one hit and ended up with holes in his belly, back, ear, and his cheek. He went on to spend 15 days in the hospital making a full recovery, and later went on Instagram to thank his ops for buying their shells from Walmart, implying that they were cheap and couldn't take him out.
That's wild. That's wild.
Young Dolph was hit up 3 different times. The first time was in 2016 when his Sprinter van was hit with 50 shells outside a Hyatt hotel. Fortunately, he was hit by none, and the op shotta turned out to be rapper Yo Gotti's road manager and vice president to his CMG label, Howard Wright, who later copped out to a 10-year sentence. Then just a year after that, Dolph was attending the CIAA weekend in Charlotte when he drove onto the wrong op block and was sprayed up again, this time with over 100 rounds, all directly hitting his SUV. Luckily for Dolph, he had just bulletproofed his entire car and was able to walk away without a scratch. For this attempted hit, 3 men were accused, including Yo Gotti's CMG artist Black Youngsta, for allegedly renting the car used for the hit. Even though his cell phone and ID were found in the car, his lawyer was able to get all his charges dismissed, claiming that the rental was stolen from him the same day. Then just a few months after that was the third time he got hit. He was in a heavily populated area in Hollywood in broad daylight when 3 men pieced him up, knocking him on the floor, and then fired on him close range, hitting him once in the arm and once in the butt. At first, Yo Gotti's associate McClendon was arrested, but was later released due to no charges being pressed. Hollywood District Attorney refused to follow through with the case, saying in quotes, "Come back to us with a real case and then we'll decide whether to file any charges."
Wow.
Of course, I couldn't make this list without including the original Op Shot survivor, 50 Cent. So the story goes that back in the year 2000, 50 had just dropped the now legendary track called Ghetto Quran, where he breaks down the streets and the underground kingpin circuit, calling out names of known gangsters and street teams. The main issue was when 50 mentioned the Supreme Team, which was a notorious crew in New York ran by Kenneth McGriff. If you watched Get Rich or Die Trying, the character of Majestic was loosely based on McGriff. So at the time, McGriff held major weight and respect in the streets and allegedly felt some type of way for being mentioned. So on a Wednesday morning, 50 and his friend were parked on 161st Street in Jamaica, Queens, when a Supreme Team hitter pulled up beside 50 and let off multiple shots, hitting him 9 times, including once in the face. 50 was able to make it to the hospital where he fully recovered, allowing him to continue his career and become one of the most iconic figures in American culture. Kenneth McGriff ended up in prison for 2 life terms for unrelated charges. And as for the Supreme Team hitter, he was allegedly found dead shortly after.
I knew about the 50 Cent shit, but that's crazy. Back in the day, I did think that was just like a movie thing. I thought it was just a movie. But
in 2011, AR Ab was the top goon in Philly and was known for catching wreck and calling shots. But just 3 months after getting blicked in the legs the first time, Ab was hit up again by an unknown op. It was on a late Philly night when he was riding through the trenches with a couple of his associates. At the time, he revealed that he was on perks and syrup, so he wasn't too worried about anything going down that night. But it was on this night that Ab stopped at a red light and felt a whole clip unload and go through his body close range. At first, he didn't know what direction it was coming from, but after everyone jumped out his car, he realized there was the car next to him trying to take him out. After the ops fled the scene, AR Ab drove himself to the hospital where he discovered he had been hit 10 times, mostly around his stomach. He eventually made a full recovery and later went on to make videos calling out his ops, but no one in Philly ever claimed it, remaining unsolved to this day. Lil J has currently been away serving a 14-year sentence for conspiracy, but in the early 2010s, he gained notoriety for beefing with rappers like Chief Keef, LA Capone, and other Black disciples. It was around this time that he first got blicked 9 times in his legs, back, and neck on the south side of Chicago. And shortly after recovering from that hit, he was hit up again. This time he was hit 6 times in his legs and bladder, totaling 15 shots in a short period of time. 10 of those rounds remained inside of him up until 2015 when he got them all removed. But just like the rest of the 75% of unsolved cases in Illinois, both these hits went unsolved. With rumors that the whole city was his ops, it's unclear what set tried taking him out.
y'all know. No fucking rocket.
Troy Ave is another rapper who got hit up on 2 separate occasions. The first time, he was shot up inside a crowded nightclub in Manhattan where he was scheduled to perform, which ended up being the same night he lost his friend and bodyguard, Ronald Banga. Troy was hit in the leg, and there's video out there of him firing back at what is now known to be gangster podcaster Taxstone. At first, Troy was accused of taking out his own bodyguard, but later went public saying that he would take the stand against Taxstone to prove his innocence. The second hit happened 7 months later on Christmas Day, when he was riding in his red Maserati in Brooklyn on his way to visit family. Troy had stopped at an intersection when an op walked up and blicked him twice, once in the back and once in the head. At this point, the girl he was riding with was able to pull him out the car and get a random driver to get him to the hospital. Luckily, he was just grazed in the head, but the other fragment ended up getting lodged in his back.
That shit be crazy. Niggas be hating.
It was on his 21st birthday that 21 Savage was hit up 6 times by rival ops in Atlanta. On his birthday in 2013, 21 was with one of his right-hand mans named Johnny. They both were about to make a sale on the block when two ops snuck up on them and fired on them close range. Johnny was hit in the head and 21 was hit 6 times, including his arm and neck. 21 ended up finagling the strap away from the ops and firing back. After the smoke cleared, 21 was left to wait for an ambulance beside his best friend, who had passed away almost immediately. In an interview, 21 recalls closing Johnny's eyes and lighting up while waiting for help. About half an hour later, an ambulance finally arrived and doctors were able to patch the hole in his collarbone. 21 said that this day forward he became a savage and tattooed a dagger on his forehead in honor of Johnny, who had done it first.
It's crazy.
Lil Reese, aka Chicago's Grim Reaper, has been able to beat the odds for over a decade by growing up in the most dangerous neighborhood inside the most dangerous city in America. During the rise of drill culture, Reese has found himself in the middle of countless beefs with some of the most notorious savages in Illinois, and was even labeled Chicago's Grim Reaper due to the fact that numerous amounts of people would mysteriously die after deciding to beef with Reese or anyone on his team. But in November of 2019, Reese would defy the odds once again by surviving a shot directly in the neck close range. Reese had been riding around his hometown of Chicago when he came to a complete stop on 167th Street. That's when a hooded op caught him in traffic and walked up to his car in broad daylight, unloading rounds up close, using what appeared to be a high-capacity century-armed Draco. After the op fled the scene, Reese walked out his car and had someone drive him to the ER. He was able to get his neck stapled up and checked himself out the hospital shortly after. He later went on Instagram to show his battle scar, posting in quotes, "Made for it, life's a gamble, I got hella luck."
Man, hey yo, I gotta give it to him. That was a good video, man. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. Hit the link below. Go check out his channel. Go check out my team channel. Go to slide over the channels on my shit, and check out my whole team, cause we out here working. You heard me? Yeah, I'm out. MAZI 2K gang.
Keep it amigo for the kilo. We gon' bring it down for the people. We gon' make bands in a rental. We gon' stunt hard in a benzo. I do this shit for my family, and I do this shit for my kinfolk. We ride around with a 20 piece and make it all look simple.